Alright, so I had recorded this video earlier, but I got a phone call and had to go do something, so I decided to just scrap it and I'll start over. I decided to record today part 2 of my albums, why I love this album. I'm filming it today, Monday, but I'm probably going to post it tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Part 2 is going to be, or episode 2 is going to be over Brothers Osborne, Port St. Joe, which is currently my album of the year. I think it's going to take a lot for something to top this for me. I honestly think it's probably an improvement over their debut album, which is Punch Up. Sorry, I'm a little disoriented, apparently. But what I love about this album, one, it's got a big beachy vibe to it, which that was a complaint I heard someone have about it. It wasn't like loud and heavy enough like their previous songs, like Ain't My Fault, and it was too beachy and laid back. Sorry, but there's a reason behind that. It's because it was recorded in a town of Florida called Port St. Joe, which is where their producer Jay Joyce is from. So they went down there and they were like, I think they were discussing the album and like starting to write the songs, and they decided, hey, this is actually turning out really well, so they decided to just record it in his house, and that's just kind of how that all turned out. And that's why it has the more beachy vibe, because it was recorded in Florida in his house, like less than a mile away from the beach. But with this album, what I really like about it is that it segues very well from track to track. It starts off with Slow Your Roll, which has a nice, like, mellow beach vibe to it, and it leads into Shoot Me Straight, which is their first song they released from it. I think it was in January 3rd, I'm almost positive, which is 6 minutes 24 seconds long. The whole second half of it is basically a jam session, which I think is great. It's not the first time they've done that. They've done that with their single Stay a Little Longer, which was a hit. Shoot Me Straight hasn't been as much of a hit because one, I haven't really heard it on the radio at all. Two, when they finally released a music video for it, it was like in August. Album had already been out. It had already been released to radio and everything, and for radio they cut it to like 3 minutes and cut out like that whole last jam session. But then that segues into I Don't Remember Me Before You, which I think was the next single. Just got released last couple days to the radio, which is one of those songs where it's you found someone and like you don't really remember how your life was before them, or you don't necessarily want to remember. In this case, on the particular album with this song, you can't necessarily tell if it's because maybe he made some bad decisions or he was drunk all the time, so he doesn't actually remember. But I don't know. I feel like it could go either way on that. And then it transitions into Weed, Whiskey, and Willie, which is a song kind of like Record Year from, excuse me, Eric Church. Sorry, my mind is apparently not with it right now. But it has one of my favorite lyrics in the album, which is, my vices and heroes all hold me together while I'm letting you go. His vices obviously being weed and whiskey, and his heroes being, of course, the great Willie Nelson. With that, there's a lyric, he's like, don't take my smoke, which is the weed, my jug of brown liquor, which is the whiskey, or my country music. And of course, Willie is one of the greatest country singers and songwriters of all time. I saw that song live in 2016. They had said, they had either just recorded it or about to record it, but they didn't have it out in time to release on the prior album. So I got to see that like 2 years before it actually came out, which was really cool. It was at a show called Country Concert, which is in Fort Laramie, Ohio, and then they were there this past year and performed it along with some of the other songs from the album. Unfortunately, I don't think the crowd appreciated it enough, which is a big letdown because they put on a great show. And that segues into, on the album, to the song Tequila again, which is basically like playing out like a relationship, tumultuous relationship where you're like, oh, you know it's not going to turn out well, and you know it's not the best choice, but you keep going back. And that's basically what Tequila Again's about. And that ends side A. You flip over to side B, and it starts out with a couple wrongs, making it all right. And some people really don't like the name, but I like the name and the song. It's one of those songs where it's like, you know, you're making bad decisions, both of you, but you know, together it all works out all right. And that leads into Pushing Up Daisies, which is another love song on the album, which was really, really good, I think. Kind of surprised that that didn't get sent to radio. And that goes into Drink Like Hank, which is, in my opinion, this album's version of Ain't My Fault, where it's like that drinking, faster, heavier party song. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it gets released to radio, but it's not like your great songwriting song on the album. That goes into A Little Bit Trouble, which isn't one of my favorites on the album. It's not bad. I don't think it's as memorable. And the album closes with While You Still Can, which I feel is a great album closer. That's unfortunately something that I feel a lot of albums don't necessarily have. They'll have a good song to end the album, but it's not necessarily a good closing song for like your ending point. But that's what this album has. And it's a song about, you know, enjoying time with your family, your friends, the little things in life while you're still around to enjoy them. That way you don't have the regret if something happens to someone and you didn't get the chance to, you know, tell them you love them or you're sorry or anything like that. There's a lyric in the song that I really like. I'm going to butcher it because I don't remember it word for word, but it's basically about how listen to your dad tell, you know, those corny dad jokes, and you listen to him pause and laugh between, you know, his sips from his Jack and Coke. It reminds me of a throwback to the lyric in Something to Be Proud Of by Montgomery Gentry, where he talks about, and that, how you get tired of hearing your dad tell stories, but then before you know it, you're sitting there, you're listening to every word, and you're just kind of like starry-eyed, hanging on to every word. It's that kind of thing that, like, that's what I love about it. It feels like a really genuine song, and it's a good point to end the album on. That's why this album overall is my album of the year. It's a very mellow album. I feel like the songwriting's good on it, and it's definitely a very underrated album. I feel like they need to and get enough radio play. Hopefully it gets a radio single that picks up, because the songs on this album are better than the crappy pop country stuff that's on the radio at the moment. It's country that's not even close. It's basically an R&B song. But I feel like it's a really solid album. As an album where I feel like if you're it's got some bluesy riffs to it. John Osborne's guitar playing somewhat sounds like John Mayer in certain parts, which I like, because John Mayer is one of my favorite singers, songwriters, guitarists out there. But overall, I feel like it's an album that if you're a country fan, you may or may not like, because it's not super country. But I don't think, you know, hard rock fans will like it. But if you enjoy a good songwriting album or a mellow album, I feel like this is definitely an album for you to give a chance to. I think you guys should give it a listen. In the comments below, tell me what you think of the album. If you already heard it, what you like about it, what you don't like, what some of your favorite songs on it are, and as well just tell me what some of your favorite albums that have come out this year are. But I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.